Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Office of Consumer Credit Commissioner's stakeholder meeting to discuss the rule review for motor vehicle sales finance. My name is Matt Nance, and I'm the OCCC's Deputy General Counsel. I'm joined by several members of the OCCC staff, including Commissioner Leslie Pettyjohn, Director of Licensing and Finance Moran Diamond, Director of Consumer Protection Huffman Lewis, Senior Review Examiner William Purse, and Senior Paralegal Ginger Harmon, who's acting as our meeting organizer, as well as Assistant General Counsel Audrey Spalding. We're holding this meeting through an online webinar. Normally, of course, we like to hold these stakeholder meetings both in person and online, but of course, we're following developments with the COVID-19 pandemic, and to help promote everyone's safety, our building is currently closed to the public. We thought that holding this webinar would be a good way to be transparent in our rulemaking while also being safe, and I look forward to the next time I can see you all in person. I want to thank everyone for joining our webinar. Getting input from stakeholders is a really important part of our rulemaking process, and these meetings help us make sure we produce the best rules possible. We're holding this meeting on GoToWebinar. Some of you might be listening on your phones, some may be watching on computers, some may be doing both. For those of you watching on your computer, there's a window where you can submit questions. If you have technical questions about using the webinar, you can type them in and Ginger will try to answer those. If you have any comments on the notice or rule draft itself, go ahead and type those in at any time, and I'll be getting to those as well. And if you're on a computer with a mic, there's a function allowing you to raise your hand, and then we can let you make a comment verbally. We're talking about amendments that are coming out of a process called rule review. The Texas Government Code requires state agencies to review their rules every 4 years to make sure they should still exist and to make any necessary updates. And when we do that, we try to get input from stakeholders on whether the rules should be updated. The rules governing motor vehicle sales finance in Title VII, Chapter 84 of the Texas Administrative Code are currently up for review. So I'd like to first summarize these rules and then lay out the proposed timeline for the rules, and then you'll have a chance to provide comments. There are several different sections with proposed rule changes coming out of the rule review. In section 84.101, we're adding some text on the scope of the rules, explaining that our rules assist in administering Chapter 353 of the Finance Code in addition to Chapter 348. Chapter 353 is the chapter that the legislature added in 2011 for commercial motor vehicles. We already had some rules throughout Chapter 84 that referred to commercial motor vehicles, so this just clarifies the scope of the rules. In section 84.201, we correct a typo in a figure showing maximum rates to make sure it's the correctly calculated amount. In section 84.604, we're amending language on the responsibility of the transferor and transferee when you have a transfer of ownership. This updates the language to be consistent with our other licensed areas. I think the updated language largely achieves the same effect as the current language, but it's hopefully a little less confusing. In section 84.611, we're correcting a typo to refer to section 348.514 of the Finance Code. In section 84.613, the changes relate to our review of a license applicant's criminal history. The amendments include some technical corrections and updates to citations based on some recent legislation passed by the Texas legislature in 2019. We also have some amendments to our record keeping rules at 84.707, 708, and 709. These amendments explain that retail sellers need to maintain conditional delivery agreements. Also in the rule for maintaining a report of debt cancellation agreement claims, we're adding a statement that the report should indicate whether the claim was paid or denied. That's intended to help our examiners review claims for compliance. The rest of the amendments deal with plain language contract submissions for motor vehicle retail installment contracts. In 84.802, we'd explain that the submission must comply with our instructions and that the PDF must be text searchable, making those requirements consistent with our rules on plain language contracts for regulated loans. In 84.803, we'd clarify some language on using federal terms in the contract and remove a reference to finance charge that we thought was unnecessary. And in 84.809, we'd add the phrase model contract to the title of the rules to help readers locate the agency's model retail installment contract. Here's a proposed timeline for the rules. You can see that we're requesting informal pre-comments by September 24th. We intend to propose the amendments at the Finance Commission's October 16th meeting, and there will be an official comment period during the month of November. We would present the rules for adoption at the Finance Commission's December meeting, and the rules will be effective in early January. This is a tentative timeline and is, of course, also subject to approval by the Finance Commission. So with that, I've summarized the rule action. Are there any comments on any of these rule amendments? Again, there are two ways to provide your feedback through this webinar. First, you can type your comment out and send it to us through the webinar's question feature, or if you're on a computer with a mic, there should be a function allowing you to raise your hand. Ginger, do we have any written questions or comments through the webinar, or anyone who's raised their hand? Okay, I'm showing that we don't have any at this time. I'll wait about a minute or so just in case. Oh, we have a hand raised. Ginger, could you please unmute the person, and if you could state your name and who you're on behalf of, and yeah, hopefully that'll let you comment verbally.
Yes, good afternoon, Matt, Bill Daniel. On the proposal regarding application of 348 rules to 353, there are a number of differences between the chapter such that it seems that some of the 348 rules would not be apropos for 353, though perhaps some of the others are.
Okay, do you have a suggested change for us? I think we wanted to clarify, you know, we're talking about the scope of the rules. We do have certain concepts that are going to apply, including like the licensing fees, or, you know, I believe there are places in the rules where we distinguish between, you know, this requirement applies to ordinary vehicles, this applies to commercial vehicles. Do you have a suggested change there?
It probably would be better to just submit thoughts for the September 24th date, as I'll need to go through and kind of make them detailed if to be helpful, I think.
Okay. Okay. Did you? Okay. So thanks for that, Bill. Did you have any other thoughts on any of the other sections or other comments you wanted to make?
No, that is all. I guess one other comment, not specific to the rules, but your interim procedures are allowing work from home by licensees under not just this chapter, but also at least one other, and with various safeguards, of course. Everything that I see in the literature indicates while things will change when we get the COVID under control, we're not going back to the world as it was before. And we're likely to see a lot more of people working from home. Certainly for young parents, they're finding that to be very convenient in some cases. So I think, as I say, not on these particular rules, but that may be something for reconsideration on the rules affecting work away from the licensed premises, although of course the licensed premises should have access to all the required documents and this various safeguards that you've outlined in your interim procedures should be maintained.
Okay, yeah, thanks for that comment, Bill. And that is certainly an issue we're very cognizant of. This is an issue that affects not just this industry and not just Texas. This is I think, a nationwide issue that non-depository financial companies are looking at. So it's something we're very aware of. We want to make sure that businesses maintain those safeguards. at the same time, we've got some language in the finance code about what locations need to be licensed, and we can't, through rule, change what the finance code says. So it's an issue we've looked closely at. You know, there may be a kind of legislative issue around that to I think there are ways to kind of maintain the objectives of having licensed locations while also enabling what, as you said, you know, might be a kind of new normal going forward of remote work. And yeah, something we're closely looking at, you know, might potentially be a legislative issue, but not something we're currently addressing in this rule action.
Yes, and I understand that. It really this was just an opportunity to mention it to you, and obviously you're already aware of it. But when people are being polled, a whole lot of them are saying no, they really don't want to go back to the office. That they find working from home works better for their family life or otherwise.
Yes. Okay, well, thanks, Bill. That's good. Good commentary. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions or hands raised? Remember, if you want to type out a longer written question, feel free to type in a short message in the sorry for the brief delay. If you want to type in a brief question, or if you want to type in a longer question, feel free to type in something quick in the questions or chat box that you have a longer question you're typing out. I will wait about 1 more minute just to see if anyone has any other written questions or would like to raise a hand. Again, if you have a longer question to type out, feel free to type something short so we can wait a little bit longer. Okay, I'm not showing any questions, comments, or hands raised. So I want to thank everyone for joining us and participating. As always, rule updates are available on our website. We have a webpage for recent and upcoming rules. We'll also be posting the audio of this meeting. We're accepting written pre-comments on these rules until 5 p.m. next Thursday, September 24th. Please email those to me at rule.comments@occc.texas.gov, which is our email address for rule comments. Thank you all for attending. Please be safe out there, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.